Plus-size passenger dragged off. Overweight passenger dragged off plane after demanding emergency exit seat, causing 1 hour delay and passenger outrage. In a dramatic incident aboard the Thailand air flight from Bangkok, an overweight tourist was forcibly removed from the aircraft after demanding to be moved from his cramped window seat to an emergency exit aisle seat, which offers more legroom. Let's get into the thick of it in today's AI podcast episode.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we unpack the stories, the ones behind the headlines. We try to cut through all the noise and get right to what's really going on. And today, we're diving into something that probably affects almost everyone who travels by air these days. The fact that planes just feel smaller, more cramped. It's this really delicate, tricky balance between making passengers comfortable and the airlines needing to make money. And lately, wow, it's led to some moments that just blew up online. So our mission here is to unpack a couple of these really dramatic incidents, look at the tensions underneath, the solutions people are talking about, and sort of get into the different viewpoints. Airlines, passengers, advocates, everyone sees it a bit differently. We've gone through quite a stack of sources for this, detailed reports on what happened, info on what airlines have tried before and are trying now, and even statements from people pushing for, different ideas of what's fair when flying.
Yeah, and what we found really shines a light on this kind of silent battle happening for every single inch inside a plane. It's comfort versus profit versus, honestly, the phys rate of flying itself.
Absolutely. It's a tension that's definitely been simmering for a while.
But these latest events, they really throw it into sharp relief, don't they? Just how tense things can get when, personal space and commercial flight collide.
They really do. It's amazing how fast these individual moments can just explode into these huge global conversations.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get into that first incident. It was quite something. Picture this. Bangkok, Don Mueang Airport. A Thai Lion Air Boeing 737, hot tarmac, packed plane, and then everything just stops.
Right. And the center of it all was this one guy, unnamed passenger, but apparently wearing a very bright orange Garfield t-shirt. Hard to miss, I guess.
Ah, yeah.
He had a window seat assigned, but right away he felt it was too small for him, too cramped. So his demand was pretty straightforward. He wanted to be moved, specifically to an emergency exit row seat where there's obviously more legroom.
Okay, and those exit row seats have rules, right? You have to be willing and able to help in an emergency. So what usually happens when someone asks to move there?
Well, exactly. There are those safety requirements, or sometimes they're just already full, maybe someone paid extra. So the flight attendants told him no. Standard procedure, really, but this is where it went sideways. He didn't take no for an answer. Apparently, he threw a tantrum, refused to cooperate, wouldn't sit down.
A tantrum, actually?
Yeah, reports say he just wouldn't comply, and this held up the entire flight for almost an hour. It got so bad, there's video footage. The man is literally lying down across the aisle, just protesting.
Wow, lying in the aisle.
Yep. It really shows how one person refusing to follow the rules can just bring everything to a halt for hundreds of other people.
That's quite a visual. So I guess police had to step in.
They did, yeah. Airport police had to come onto the plane, and the footage is pretty dramatic. They're seen basically dragging the guy by his arms and legs, down the aisle, off the plane.
Dragging him off.
And what's really striking is the reaction from the other passengers. You can hear them cheering and shouting as he's removed. People were clearly frustrated.
Yeah, you can understand the frustration after an hour's delay on the tarmac.
Right.
We even have some quotes from witnesses.
Right.
A British woman shouting, "You're being selfish," and someone else telling him, "Don't forget that." Apparently, people first thought maybe he was sick.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then they realized why he was actually causing the disruption.
And they were shocked. So yeah, a big delay and just absolute anger from everyone else stuck on that plane.
It really paints a picture of that collective frustration, doesn't it? And what's interesting, like you said, is that this happened just days after another incident. A different airline, different place, but similar themes. It really highlights this escalating tension.
Okay, so let's talk about that second one, the Southwest incident. This also involved seating, passenger size, but it sounds like it got even more volatile.
Yeah, this one was definitely more aggressive. It involved a 32-year-old woman on a Southwest flight leaving LaGuardia in New York. Reports say she was intoxicated.
Okay.
And she was apparently very upset about being seated next to, and these are her reported words, a fat lady.
Oh, wow. Okay, so her reaction wasn't just refusing to sit like the man on Thai Lion Air. It was directed at the other passenger.
Exactly, and much more violent. She didn't just delay things. She allegedly, physically, and verbally assaulted the passenger next to her.
Assaulted her? How?
Sources say she was pulling the woman's hair, spitting on her. She even apparently knocked the glasses off a flight attendant who tried to step in.
Good grief. That's serious assault.
Absolutely. And reports say she wouldn't let go, even when crew and other passengers were trying to intervene. She was apparently taunting people, too, called one woman ugly who tried to confront her.
Unbelievable. So police involved again?
Yes. Police were called to meet the flight. And as they were restraining her, she apparently yelled out, really sarcastically, "I'm sorry. I didn't want to sit next to a thing fat lady."
Wow.
Yeah. It really underscores the nastiness of it, the prejudice involved. It adds this whole other layer to the conversation about space and size on planes. It's not just discomfort, it's aggression.
Hey, these two incidents happening so close together, it really does feel like they're symptoms of something bigger, doesn't it? Why do you think we're seeing this kind of thing bubble up now?
Well, I think you're right. It's not just about a couple of people behaving badly. It feels like it peels back the curtain on this constant struggle for every inch on a plane. Yeah. And it's definitely reignited this whole global debate, How should airlines deal with passengers who need more space? Should they pay more? It's a physical manifestation of this growing discomfort.
And it's not like this idea is completely new, right? Airlines have tried things before.
Exactly. You might remember Samoa Air back in 2013. They tried a fat tax, basically charging by weight.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. It didn't stick, though.
No, it failed pretty quickly. It didn't get much support long term. It just shows how incredibly difficult it is to find a solution that people see as fair or even practical.
But airlines are still looking at this. Finnair, for example, they did something recently.
Yes, Finnair had this interesting 3-month trial. It was voluntary, completely anonymous. Yeah. Passengers could report their weight, plus their carry-on luggage. They also collected info like, travel class, age, gender. The idea is to get better data for load distribution.
Load distribution? Why did that matter so much?
Well, it's crucial for safety and efficiency. Knowing the total weight and how it's spread out helps ensure the plane is balanced correctly for takeoff and landing. It also impacts fuel burn.
Ah, okay.
So Finnair is using this data to plan better load systems for between 2025 and 2030. It's kind of this invisible but fundamental part of airline economics that affects ticket prices for everyone.
Right, a very data-heavy approach. But what about just public opinion? Here in the U.S., there was that study asking people about different pricing models.
Yeah, a survey of about 1,000 U.S. adults. They looked at 3 options: the current system, one price fits all. Then a weight threshold model, like if you're over 160 pounds, you pay more. And finally, a pure body weight pricing model.
And the results were predictable.
Largely, yes. Lighter passengers tended to like the weight-based ideas. Heavier passengers preferred the flat fare system we have now. No big surprise there.
But there was a nuance.
There was. Nearly half, almost 50% of the heavier people surveyed said they might be open to reconsidering, which is interesting. Huh. And support for paying by weight was definitely stronger among younger people, frequent flyers, and those with higher incomes. It really brings up questions about fairness, doesn't it? Who should bear the cost of space? And are attitudes shifting?
Yeah, definitely. So you've got airlines trying things. Public opinion is kind of mixed. But then you have advocates like Jaylen Cheney. She's a plus-size travel advocate in the U.S., and she has a very different take.
She absolutely does. Jaylen Cheney is very vocal. She argues airlines need to make accommodations, even suggesting they should offer free extra seats to plus-size travelers if needed.
Free seats? How does she square that with the cost?
Well, she strongly dismisses any kind of weight-based pricing. Yeah. Calls it fat-phobic and dehumanizing.
Right. She has that quote that really sticks with you. "I'm not a suitcase."
Exactly. She says, paying extra for luggage is a different issue entirely. Let's talk about fair, equal treatment for all passengers.
And she pushes back on the idea that people should just, buy a first-class ticket if they need more space?
Yeah, she rejects that completely. Her point is, first class often isn't actually big enough for some larger bodies anyway. Second, the cost is just prohibitive for most people. And third, even if you could upgrade, it doesn't fix the basic problem, which she sees as the seats in economy being too small to begin with. Her argument is, fix the system, not the people.
So she's framing it as a systemic issue. Aircraft design, airline policy. That's what needs to change, not the passengers.
Precisely. It's a direct challenge to how airlines currently operate and design their cabins, especially in economy.
So, bringing this back to you, our listener, how does all this land when you hear about these incidents, this debate? How does it connect to your own experiences flying? Is it about your comfort? Is it about fairness? Or is it, something bigger about where air travel is heading?
Because these incidents, they really do highlight these incredibly complex trade-offs airlines are constantly making. Passenger comfort versus safety, which always has to come first, versus just making the numbers work. Especially now, with travel roaring back after the pandemic. Every single inch of space, every pound of weight, it all factors in. It affects ticket prices, plane design, everything.
Yeah, it's clear these recent, very public clashes really spotlight this growing friction. The needs or desires of plus-size passengers rubbing up against the physical and economic limits of current airline setups. And like you said, it's not just about a few people misbehaving. It feels more like a symptom of this pressure cooker building up in the sky.
And there really aren't any easy answers, are there? You have valid points on all sides. Arguments for more inclusive seating, arguments for fairness based on, the space you take up or the fuel you require. It's where the economic realities of flying just smash right into what society expects in terms of comfort and equity. And those expectations are evolving.
So as airlines keep trying to innovate, mostly for efficiency, you have to wonder what kind of fundamental changes in design, maybe, or in policy, could actually address the comfort and the equity for everyone flying, not just some passengers, but all of them.
That's the big question, isn't it? Something to think about maybe the next time you're settling into your seat for a flight. What would a truly equitable sky look like?
Did fellow passengers have a right to yell at the man during the incident? Or did they make the situation worse? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.